Hi, this is Miss Chris at the Oak Harbor Public Library. Today would be the day that we start summer reading for this year. And usually we have the zoo, or we have a magician, or we have something really exciting so that you can come to a program and come up to the library and take out the books that you want to read. But it's different this year, so we're doing things a little different too. I'm going to read a book for you, and this year our theme is Imagine Your Story. So it's going to be about stories that our imagination. Once Upon a Time is the theme for this week. And so we have some good books that I've been thinking about for Once Upon a Time. Lots of stories you'll remember or have heard in the past, but brand new ones too. We also usually have some kind of activity, and this year we can't do that together, so we've made some grab bags for you. This week we have a grab bag because we're going to read about Jack and the Beanstalk, how to grow your own little beanstalk. This is a toilet paper tube, and right here there are 3 beans taped right on it. You're going to get a piece of foil so that you can make a container for your toilet paper. You're going to get a bag of soil that you can put in there and plant your beans. You're going to get some pencils, markers, other things, and a book cover that you can start your own story. You can add pages in there about what you did this summer or things that you noticed that would make a good story for your summer. We've also got a couple coloring pages and instructions how to plant the beans and a riddle and some other suggestions of things you might do. All of those things come in a package, and they're available for pickup right in front of the library by the double doors. So if you get one, stop up today, Wednesday, you can get one, or we will have them out for a couple days so that you can pick one up. Each week we'll have a new package based on what the theme is for the week. We also have some packages for bigger kids, and this one, it says One World, Many Stories, and it's a package that's designed for kids that are like 10 or older. It's got a little harder things to do. So here it is. We're going to talk about Jack and the Beanstalk today, because I wanted to show you how a beanstalk could look. I planted one with my toilet paper roll and my piece of foil, and I have a beanstalk, and I have 2 other ones coming up. So I hope you can do this too, and you can show us how your beanstalks grew over the summer. We'd love it if you send us a picture of some of the things that you're doing with the stories and the stuff we're giving you this year. So, Once Upon a Time has lots of stories. Like, if you were in the 1st grade, maybe you remember when I read how the ostrich got its long neck. That was Once Upon a Time. Maybe you've seen The Monkey and the Crocodile. Love and Roast Chicken. These books are all in our fairy tales and myths sections, and you can request any of them, and we would be glad to check them out to you or your family and let you pick them up when it's convenient for you. Here's a good one, Finn McCool and his fearless wife. White Tiger, Blue Serpent. That's a good one. Rapunzel, if you know the story of Tangled, that's the same story in a different form. And this one is called Jamie O'Rourke and the Big Potato. Looks kind of like a beanstalk, but it's different. So today's book is called Jack and the Beanstalk and the French Fries. Ooh, a little bit different. This book is written by Mark Teague. You remember Jack and the Beanstalk? A story about a cow and a man, a lady and a son. Well, here it is, a little different. Jack lived with his mother in a small house at the end of a village. They were very poor. They were so poor that when their cow stopped giving milk, Jack's mother feared they would starve. "Quickly, son," she said, "take the cow to market and sell her for as much as you can. Everything depends on it." Jack headed off with the cow in tow. After a while, he stopped to rest, and when he did, a stranger appeared. "I will trade you these magic beans for that cow," said the old man. "Magic beans," said Jack. "You must think I'm a dodo." "Not at all," said the stranger. "These beans are quite magical. Plant them and you will have all that you desire." "Honest," said Jack. What he desired at the moment was food. "Honest," said the stranger. So they made the deal, and Jack returned home with the beans. "Foolish boy," cried his mother, "you have ruined us." She tossed the beans out the window and sent Jack to bed without any supper. When he awoke next morning, a strange light filled Jack's room. Giant leaves poked through the window. He stuck his head out and saw an enormous beanstalk growing in the backyard. "Ma," he cried, running downstairs, "check out that beanstalk." "I already did, and look, I made us bean porridge for breakfast." Jack ate the porridge. It wasn't the best thing he ever had, but it beat starving. "Well, I guess our problem is solved," he said, and headed off to school. After that, Jack and his mother ate beans all the time. They ate bean salad and bean soup, pickled beans and refried beans, baked beans, minced beans, mashed beans, breaded beans, bean sprouts, and bean dip. After a while, Jack grew tired of beans. He dreamed of burgers. He dreamed of French fries. "Couldn't we have something else?" he grumbled, staring at his bean chowder. "Why would we want anything else?" said his mother. "Beans are nutritious and delicious, and best of all, they're free." And thanks to the magic beanstalk, there were always more of them. The stalk produced enormous quantities of beans. They grew through the spring, the summer, and the fall. Even in winter, they kept coming. Jack's mother shared beans with the neighbors, and the neighbors' neighbors, and the neighbors' neighbors' neighbors. Soon the entire village was eating them. At first, everyone seemed grateful, but the feeling didn't last. At dinner time, Jack could hear the howls of children from blocks away. "Please," they cried, "no more beans." School was even worse. Kids glared at him over their bean-filled lunches. His classmates said, "It's all your fault. You never should have planted that thing." "I didn't," said Jack, "not really." But nobody believed him. Big kids threw bean sandwiches at him. Bullies chased him home from school. This has to stop, he thought, but he didn't know what to do. On his birthday, Jack was given a bean bag, a bean shooter, and a slice of bean cake topped with a dollop of ice bean. That does it, he thought as he lay in bed. The beanstalk has to go. Next morning he grabbed a hatchet and stomped outside. He was about to give the stalk a good whack when the stranger appeared once again. "Wait," said the old man. "Aren't you curious what's up there?" "I know what's up there," said Jack. "Beans." "Don't be foolish," said the stranger. "Climb. Here, I'll give you a boost." Just then an angry mob appeared at the end of the street. Among them were the worst bullies from school. They carried torches and pitchforks. They shouted, "No more beans!" One of them spotted Jack. "Look, it's the Bean Kid." "Okay," said Jack, "I'll climb." He gave his hatchet to the stranger and scrambled up the beanstalk. Up and up he went until the village looked small below him. Jack wasn't crazy about heights, but bullies were even worse. He kept climbing. The beanstalk disappeared into a cloud. He realized he was hungry for anything other than beans, but there was nothing to eat and no way to go but up. Finally, the beanstalk arrived at the top of a cliff. From there, a path wandered off into the distance. Jack followed the path until he came to the front door of a huge castle. Hunger made him bold. There must be food in there, he thought, as he slipped inside. Jack wandered gloomy hallways until he came to an immense kitchen. A giant woman stood at a wooden table. She was canning beans. "Ugh," said Jack. "What are you doing here?" she cried, dropping her can. "I was hoping for something to eat." "Silly boy, don't you know where you are? My husband is a giant, twice as big as me, and lately he's been very grumpy." "I bet it's the beans," said Jack. "Don't be ridiculous," she said. "Beans are nutritious and delicious, and best of all, they're free." But Jack was right. Ever since the mighty stalk had appeared, the giants had been eating nothing but beans, and Mrs. Giant was sick of them. Loud footsteps sounded in the hallway. "Fee, fi, fo, say, what's for lunch?" "Quick," hissed Mrs. Giant, "you must hide." Jack dove headfirst into a flour barrel. A moment later, Mr. Giant strode into the kitchen. "Boy, am I hungry." "Good," Mrs. Giant said. "I made you a nice bean salad." "Bean salad," he cried. "But all we ever have is beans, and I hate beans." "We love beans," she said, "and they're good for you. How do you think you got to be so big?" "Dunno, but you eat them, and you're puny." "I'm busy," she said. "Now eat your salad and stop complaining." The giant ate, but he didn't stop complaining. "Beans," he grumbled, "what I wouldn't give for a plate of French fries." Without thinking, Jack said, "Here, here." "What was that?" cried the giant, leaping to his feet. "Nothing," said his wife. "I know what I heard, and it came from that flour barrel." The giant stomped over to the barrel and plucked Jack up by his feet. He turned to his wife. "What is this?" "It's just a boy," said Mrs. Giant. "He's looking for something to eat." "Maybe he is something to eat. Look, he's already breaded." "Don't be disgusting," she said. "Yes," said Jack, "don't be disgusting." The giant set Jack on the table, but he was still angry. I know what's disgusting. Beans. He dumped a bushel on his head. You see? Disgusting. He overturned another bushel and another. He picked up great handfuls of beans and tossed them in the air. Soon beans were flying everywhere. Jack joined in. They made a terrific mess, and as they did, they chanted, "No more beans." "Stop!" cried Mrs. Giant. "Both of you should be ashamed. If you don't like beans, plant something else." "Plant?" said Jack. "Something else?" said the giant. "A vegetable garden, you ninnies, with potatoes, for instance." "Why taters?" said her husband. "To make French fries," cried Jack. "Of course, we'll plant some right away." "First, you clean up this kitchen," said Mrs. Giant. As soon as they were done, they headed down the beanstalk. The bullies were waiting at the bottom. "There he is," they cried when Jack appeared. Jack wasn't worried. "Meet my new friend," he said. Once the uproar died down and the bullies went home, Jack and the giant spent the rest of the day planting a garden. "Grow!" shouted the giant. "Patience," said Jack. Soon the giant grew bored and headed back up the stalk. But Jack tended his garden every day. The vegetables grew and grew. In fact, whatever magic had produced the beanstalk seemed to be working on the other plants as well. Before long, the backyard was bursting with carrots, corn, potatoes, tomatoes, and asparagus. Everything was enormous. There was so much food they didn't know what to do. So Jack and his mother cooked up a feast. The smell spread across the village and all the way up the beanstalk. By dinner time, everyone was there, even the giants. It was the most stupendous meal anyone could remember. They all agreed that the food was delicious and nutritious, and best of all were the French fries. Well, you know that giant wasn't very patient, and if you try and grow these beans, you'll have to be a little patient too. This one took about 1 week from the time I planted it until it started growing. So stop at the library, get a grab bag of goodies, and plant a beanstalk and see how it grows for you.